Hello everyone, Guillaume Letzman here, host of the E-Commerce Wizards podcast, where I feature leaders in e-commerce and business. Today's guest is Tom Kulzer from AWeber. It's an email marketing automation platform, very famous software out there. Very happy to have you here, Tom. And the topic for today will be email marketing for e-commerce. So before we get started, a few quick things. First, a shout out to expertbookers.com who connected us. Thank you very much. All right, Tom, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
So you have a very successful business here. Can you please give us an introduction about your background as an entrepreneur?
Sure. So I started AWeber back in 1998. So it's been 24 years now since we started that. As a just kind of high level right now, we have we don't get into too many specifics, but we have several 100,000 customers around the world that are active with us. We send tens of millions of emails every day. We send billions of emails every month on behalf of all those customers around the world. And so we kind of get into the foundational aspects of email newsletters, email platform, and have grown it from the ground up. No VC investments, all bootstrapped 100% along the way. So
Congrats on that.
It's as I've said, it's some things are easier that way and some things are harder that way. So at the end of the day, we get to focus on kind of the three core pillars of our business, and the biggest one being our customers. And they don't come at the expense of anything else. So we build a great product, have a lot of happy customers, and work on having a really happy team to support both of those things. So it's really kind of a virtuous circle when you don't have outside stakeholders that you're trying to, return on investment and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a different way of running companies that I think people frequently overlook and minimize.
Well, congratulations on that. I also went the self-funded path, but it is a challenging path because the early years are kind of long and feel longer than they actually are, because you're just like grinding your way in the first few years to have like an exponential. Yes, we double, but it's the double of not much, and you're slowly growing. So VCs can sort of say, all right, we'll help you to skip the 0 to 1 million part like this, and then you start from there and you move forward, or even a higher number than 1 million, or sometimes you must have external capital just to be able to build your basic prototype and find
Absolutely.
product market fit.
Yeah, it was myself for the first 2 years. So I didn't hire anybody for 2 years. I did everything. And we had 2,500 customers before I hired somebody. Would I do that again? No.
Yes,
but that's where I was. That's where I was at my stage in life, and just my general experience, and frankly, the tool sets that were out there to do hiring and so forth were not as abundant and easy to use as they are these days. So it was definitely, it's been an interesting path, that's for sure.
All right. Well, congrats there again. And let's dive into our main topic here, email marketing for e-commerce. Can you guide us on this topic? Obviously, your company sends billions of emails per month. I'm sure you have some wisdom and gold nuggets to share with us.
Yeah, I think it's a big topic, and we could talk for days about it. I think the high level that a lot of merchants specifically don't do is just start collecting your customers' email addresses and write to them about things that matter to them specifically. So I can't tell you the number of e-commerce sites that don't have any ability to get updates from them, other than I bought something from them. It's like I'll usually get on a customer list then, but then often, e-commerce merchants think in terms of revenue, like immediate revenue. So like the only things that they send out are buy. And you kind of have to constantly step back and look at, what would I, as a consumer of this business, appreciate receiving an email from? So if I just bought a new set of golf clubs from your online store, I don't necessarily want to buy another set of golf clubs, but that's often the default that you would get from a store that sells golf clubs. Versus as a customer, it would be really great to have education around how to use those golf clubs. Is there something I need to do to break them in? Or are there accessories that go along with that that would be pertinent to my purchase that I just made that I didn't actually? So like, the golf bag and the covers for my clubs and, new grip tape and like all the other stuff that goes along with it. Those are great ancillary things to sell to people in the e-commerce world, while also sending them education that is helpful to consuming the product that they already consumed, bought from you. Those will lead to follow-on sales of like, hey, I've leveled up my game. I want the new lightest clubs or whatever. And, I'm going to go back to the place that taught me how to get the most out of the clubs that I bought the last time. So that's where you can use email as a little bit more of a long play and not burning people out by sending them an email every week of buy new golf clubs. So it's taking that slightly longer game when they think about what they're doing to really earn that lifetime customer versus a short-term customer that you're going to get up front.
I really like what you're saying here because it's building the brand. So you're building the relationship and
Absolutely.
You're building the brand. And this is how you can build something that is actually of incredibly high value, more than just a short term always. What's the return on investment of sending this one email blast versus how much I paid the guy to do it or girl, and how many sales it made and whatever, so to build a real asset and a real brand.
Well, it's a good example. I'm a customer of a company called Lyft. And they make e-foils. So it's like a hydrofoil thing that you ride on the water, comes up out of the water, and it's got an electric motor and it zooms right along. And I bought one of those, and they're not cheap. They're kind of pricey. Yeah. And, I'm on their customer email list now, and I get emails from them that certainly have content in them about, hey, this is the new model we have. But I also get a lot of stuff that has, it's more of their social content. So think of all the cool exotic places that people ride an e-foil at, whether it's in the tropics somewhere or, up these interesting rivers or in downtown Miami through the canals and all that kind of stuff. So I get a lot of really cool, like, oh, that'd be a cool place to ride my e-foil. So it's kind of inspirational. And the sales opportunity aspect, it's further down in the email. Like what they're leading with is the educational stuff of how I become a better rider on the e-foil and all the cool things that I can go and do. So it's that dream component of it. And then they follow up with bigger batteries or a different foil to make it ride different. And so there's sales opportunities there, but it's not the primary mechanism of the email. It's more about keeping me engaged as a customer and looking at them as a thought leader and as someone that's going to educate me about how to use what I bought from them most effectively. And that, to me, is really kind of the essence of e-commerce email. It's not just about buy. It's not just about sending discounts via email. It's not just about your Black Friday emails or your Cyber Monday emails. It's more to it. And the tools have evolved drastically over the years. So like when somebody buys the golf clubs or the e-foil or whatever it happens to be, I know that as, from an email marketing platform, I can tag you and say like, you bought this specific product. So when I follow up with you, I can send you content that is specifically relevant to the thing that you bought, or at least categorize them into a certain bucket of like, hey, I'm a clothing store. You bought menswear versus you bought women's wear. Those, it gives you an idea of like, well, somebody that bought a bikini's probably not interested as highly in like, guy swim trunks. So, you might, so I often use the example of an animal shelter. So if I subscribe to an animal shelter to find what, pets they have come in that I can adopt, and I only ever click on the dogs, send me the emails with the dogs in them. The emails with the cats in them are not relevant to me. I'm not likely to click on them. I'm not likely to stay engaged with them. So the more you can kind of personalize the messages that you're sending to people, the more likely they are to engage and ultimately come back to your store, animal shelter, whatever. Like it's all, they all kind of fit in that same vein there.
Agreed with you. I'd still give a way to navigate and browse in case the first time was a misclick. Sure. But if you see a pattern, it's always the dogs. I remember like that once my wife misclicked on some oversized clothes, but she's super slim, like 115 pound, and then she would get all of that marketing for overweight, and it's like
yeah,
you know,
that's where those tools can go sideways. But
for sure, still a lot of people like, hey, interested in cats and other animals at the bottom. But I agree with you, send them the right one. And to your previous comment, which is also very strong, so it basically boils down to care about your industry, and then you care about like surfing or foil, whatever how it's called, that thing now, e-foil. So you care about that, and it's a water sport, and then you're having fun, and then you care about how to improve the experience, and you probably use it yourself, the person sending out the marketing email, and then you want to have a better experience next time. You want to tweak your right there for that thing, and it just makes sense. Also from a marketing point of view, they're lucky that they have a product that can really be showcased with great lifestyle, and you have all those tropical and exotic and travel destination. You can also go the angle, if they want to go that angle or not, about, hey, you have great looking people and sexy models in swimming suits. It depends if they want that angle or not have that angle for their business. So there's a lot of potential in this one, and I think it's a great example you're sharing there. So are there any other like either best practice or mistakes to avoid that you have in mind?
Oh, how long do we have now? I think that a lot of the things that businesses mess up are the really basic stuff. So like, I'll often see a subscribe form on a website, and okay, I can get updates from this business. Well, what am I going to get necessarily? So like, what's the value for me to, giving you my email address there? Is similarly along those lines, how often are you going to send something to me? So if I sign up and your form doesn't tell me, hey, you're going to get a monthly update from us, and I just infer like, oh, I'm going to get an email from them monthly, but you start sending me an email 3 times a week, I'm probably going to be a little annoyed at that. And ultimately, annoyance in the inbox equals an unsubscribe if you're lucky, or it means they're going to mark you as spam. And that would be not lucky. That would be bad, because that hurts your ability to reach other people's inboxes over time if too many people do that. So setting expectations up front around how frequently you're going to send and what you're going to send to people, it can be really important to making sure that you have engaged subscribers that stick around for a long term and like what you ultimately end up sending them. So no one likes the bait and switch, the kind of things that go along with that. Similarly, there's a lot of tricks that I see businesses try to pull on their subscribers. The old RE colon at the beginning of a subject line to make it look like you're replying to an email that they sent you. No one falls for that. And yes, you might split test it and you might see a higher open rate, but you just basically tricked your subscribers. And we're not idiots. You know what I mean? Like, you got to put yourself in that subscriber's place. Is okay, you might have gotten them over once, and that might have boosted your open rates temporarily, but in the long run, they're going to come to distrust the emails that you send them, and are more likely to, again, unsubscribe or mark you as spam. And no one wants to do a business with a company that thinks you're an idiot and is trying to trick you like that. So there's only so many of those kind of manipulations that you can play on people before they tune out and move away from you. Those are really some of the key things. I think there's, in the e-commerce world, there's a ton of focus on obviously getting to the inbox, but I see particularly with e-commerce merchants and trying to reach Gmail, is that they tend to send messages that are ultimately promotions, and they end up going to the promotions tab, which many view as the spam folder, even though it's not. It's very much still the inbox. It's just the inbox for promotions. And my feedback to merchants that are sending emails that end up in the promotions folder is, don't send promotions. So, if you want your messages to be engaged like a regular newsletter or like a regular email that you would send to somebody, you have to send content that doesn't get categorized as a promotion. So when you're sending the sell, buy now stuff, that's to Google's machine learning algorithms, that looks just like a promotion. because it is a promotion,
Right.
and it's going to go in the promotions folder. So, an email like the Lift eFoil folks send out, where it's, Instagram content and YouTube videos that are predominantly in the message, those get engaged with differently, and those emails as a whole look different than a strictly buy, type email that you would send out. So those show up in the inbox more. So there's things that you can do with your content to make sure that you're showing up in the inbox that you think is appropriate for your content. But at the end of the day, your content's going to go wherever your audience thinks it's most deserves to go. So if you're showing up in the spam folder, it's not Google putting you in the spam folder and making you go to the spam folder. It's your subscribers that are making you go to the spam folder. And if you want to not be in the spam folder, you need to behave differently and engage with your subscribers differently. So you go to the inbox. So the things that get you there are lack of engagement, people marking your messages as spam. And those are all structural things around what you're doing with your email campaigns that get you there to begin with. It's content, it's frequency, it's, meeting the expectations that you've set up front, meeting the promises, not tricking your subscribers. So it's all interconnected to making sure that you have that kind of cohesive strategy that puts you in the inbox over and over again. I often get asked, like, well, what should I send in my emails? And it's, what would you as a customer of your business find most valuable? And what you as the business owner want to send and what your subscribers or customers want to receive are often two very different things. And being able to meet in the center on that, I think is where people, where businesses have the most success there, is kind of meeting in the middle, and kind of looking at it a little bit of a longer term gain there.
This episode is brought to you by Mage-Montreal. If a business wants a powerful e-commerce online store that will increase their sales, or to move piled up inventory to free up cash reserves, or to automate business processes to reduce human processing errors, our company Mage-Montreal can do that. We've been helping e-commerce stores for over a decade. Here's the catch. We're specialized and only work on the Adobe Magento e-commerce platform, also known as Adobe Commerce. We're among only a handful of certified companies in Canada. We do everything Magento related. If you know someone who needs design, support, training, maintenance, or a new e-commerce website, email our team at support@MageMontreal.com or go to MageMontreal.com. That's MAGE Montreal.com.
Awesome. Well, since we're looking at the mistakes, are there any other mistakes, or we can even frame it in a funny way? Is there other ways to be sure to fail at your email marketing? Do this if you want to fail, and then likely we can do the reverse to be successful.
I like that angle. Have you ever gotten the email that says no, do not reply at such and such business.com?
Yeah.
I always equate that to that business just gave me the middle finger and basically said, give me money, don't talk to me. And that's not at all the exchange that you want to have with your subscribers and your customers, because who wants to do business with a company like that? And the retort that I'll get from businesses often is, well, we don't have the bandwidth to answer the questions that our customers have. And it's like, wait a second.
Well, those are sales opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. Those are valuable engagements. Somebody replying to your email is exactly what you want, because one, they're engaging with your business. Two, that's good for your overall email reputation, because it shows Google and Yahoo and Hotmail that people want what it is that you're sending and want to engage with your business as though it's a real business. When you put up a big do not reply address, it's like my emails become one way, and Google never sees anyone writing back to me. And what do emails that look like that, ultimately get categorized as? Spam. No one wants that in their inbox. You make it hard for people to do business with you, they're not going to do business with you, and they're going to mark you as spam. So that's probably that's the biggest one to me is burying your contact information, not even putting it in your emails. The can spam, U.S. can spam laws if you're in the U.S. Or Castle if you're in Canada, are also big, important laws to make sure that you're following appropriate permission structures, as well as, in the US, putting a postal address and so forth in your message. So there's, some basic compliance stuff that if you're in an email marketing platform like AWeber, we're going to help you make sure that you're doing those things automatically. Like we'll try to make sure that you don't shoot yourself in the foot by doing something really obvious that you need to be doing. So what are other big, like, how do I fail at email marketing? Sending links that don't work. The ability to just, that before you do that last send, just go down through and click on the links and make sure that they go to the places that you think they're going to go. It's really easy to typo those. Tools like AWeber, we have a built-in link checker, so it'll look and see if your links throw errors, but it still isn't going to, it's not going to protect you from linking to your homepage instead of the specific product page that you wanted to link to. Two valid pages, but not the destination that you might want the price link to go to for a product that you put in your message. Running your content through a spell checker and just making sure you spelled everything correctly, like little basic things. There's only so many times you can send that accidental, like, oh, I sent you the wrong link. And we know you didn't send the wrong link. I can go back and look. It's the same link. You just think I'm an idiot. So like those, I think, treating your subscribers as an expendable number, writing to your subscribers as though they're a huge number. So, when you write your email, yes, you might be writing to an aggregate 500 or 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 people all at the same time. But when they read that, we're all separate from one another. I'm in my office, you're in your office, somebody else might be in their car, someone else might be at their kid's school recital, or somebody else might be sitting on the toilet. Like, emails get read all over the place, but you're writing to one person. Writing that content to that specific one person, and making sure that there is some value that they're getting from that, or some action step that you want them to take as a result of reading the email. A lot of emails that folks send out, it's like, okay, that's nice. Why do I care? Like, you launched a new website design. Okay. I don't care.
Yeah, unless you put in like clear benefits of like on that new website, you can place an order yourself, whatever it is. It's a B2B context, and in the previous website it was just a catalog. Now it's transactional, or like you have to announce what's new so that they would care. Right. It's a B2B buyer, like, oh, that's going to make my life better now. Dealing with
exactly. Exactly. So those are some of the kind of in the email side. If you're looking at the collection side of collecting subscribers, so like if you have a blog and you have that subscribe form on your page, setting those expectations that we talked about, using confirmed opt-in, or many people know it as double opt-in, where you're verifying that a subscriber that came in or an email address that got submitted in your form is actually the person that visited your website and entered the email. So a lot of traffic these days on websites is robots, and those robots fill out forms, and they fill out with often very real looking information, but they're just robots. And you as a business owner might ask, like, well, why do robots fill out my subscriber form? And usually those robots aren't filling out your subscriber form intentionally. They're filling it out because they think you're a blog comment form or something else that might post content online. And other parts of their bot might be submitting the buy your Louis Vuitton handbag or Viagra pills or whatever other spam and junk is going on out there. But when those names and emails get submitted to your subscribe forms, you've now, as a business owner, added an email address to your list and are mailing an email address that didn't actually belong to that, that person, and could be going to Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, etc., where you sending to that address that's invalid or goes to somebody else is going to get you an undeliverable, meaning it bounces and it's not deliverable, or it gets you a spam complaint, and those things all count against you. So verifying the addresses that are getting filled out in your subscribe forms is really important. Sending a welcome email after someone signs up to make sure that they know what your emails are going to look like, so they can recognize the from address that you're sending from and the from name that you're sending from. Those are important things to just kind of set that baseline of expectations on what they're receiving, so that they know to, again, when to expect the next message from you, or they can opt out if they don't want, which is perfectly fine as well. So that they signed up and realized it's not something I want. They can get rid of that, and they don't have to wait until 3 or 4 months later when you finally get around to sending an email for the first time, and they go, "Who is that again? Like, why am I getting an email from there? Like, mark it spam," because you have about like 2 seconds for somebody to make that call when they're going through their inbox, and you want to make sure you're on the right side of that button and not the wrong side of your button. E-commerce sites as well are really good for having something on your thank you page. So like after someone signs up on your site for your email list, there's often a page that's displayed that's, "Hey, thanks for subscribing." And a lot of site owners leave that page just kind of blank, and it's a bit of a dead end, particularly for e-commerce or even, digital marketers and those sort of folks. Having something for sale on that page is often a big revenue driver. Hey, these are the 3 most popular things that get bought in our store, just so that you're aware of them, or this might be relevant to the subscription that you just made, et cetera. So having something to buy there can be a key revenue driver for folks. So there's lots of little like kind of tips and tricks that are out there to make sure that you're doing things right and that you're going to get to people's inboxes repeatedly. So a lot of it seems like really common sense, simple stuff, but it's also really easy for people to miss if you're not thinking about it.
Right. And about your broken link comment, the worst one, which is also illegal, is if your unsubscribe link does not work.
Yep.
That one's terrible. That one's really terrible.
Yeah.
And I don't know how familiar you are with the Canadian law of castle law for anti-spam. Like at a very high level, if we oversimplify it, you could say that the US is more of an opt-out system. You send an email, and it's okay to send an email to whoever, and you can just click unsubscribe or just say don't contact me again. That's okay. In Canada, you're supposed to have some kind of consent, so more of an opt-in system that if you gave me permission, then I can send you an email. But then there's all kind of gray zone. I've read that law like, I don't know, a dozen times. It is the most confusing, obscure gray zone law I've ever read. Like, it's really not clear. Like
a lot of laws are like that. At the end of the day, I summarize it as don't send spam. Don't send emails to people that didn't request them. And if you follow that like general base premise, you're probably going to be fine. There's always edge case compliance stuff like, in Can Spam Act, making sure they have a postal address in there. But that affirmative consent at the end of the day is really important. Send emails that people want to receive. Not that you want them to receive, but that they want to receive. It's an important distinction. I can't tell you how many businesses are like, "Oh, I got this list from somewhere and they're all school teachers, and this product that I sell was perfect for school teachers. They all want my emails and they're all going to want to buy my product." And it's like, no, they don't. You can't import that list to an email platform like AWeber. You shouldn't send those emails to those people, regardless. You don't have their permission. That's not how you, achieve long-lasting success in building a business online. It's a great way to ruin your domain reputation and make sure that your emails don't go to anyone's inbox. So those shortcuts are short and don't last long.
Right. And this is a very clear black and white answer that is very clear and obvious, and it's totally applicable. Let's say in a B2C context, you're selling merchandise online to the general public. You have no reason to spam people, and you would be sending spam if you send unsolicited emails like this without permission. So if I recall correctly, you can send people who did not give you explicit permission emails that if they bought from you in the last 2 years, or if they had some contact with your business without buying the last 6 months, that you'd be okay. You have an implicit consent, unless they give you an explicit consent that never expires, but you need to store it properly. Either it's verbal over the phone, you recorded that, or it checked a box that cannot be pre-checked and so on to give you explicit consent online. But let's talk about another more gray zone case that I'm curious to have your opinion on. Let's talk about B2B e-commerce stores, and those have more complex things. Maybe the manufacturer or some kind of more fancy technology company or something like that. and they have an outreach team. So sure, you have your inbound, you have your partnership, but you have outreaches as well to try to get your product known. So you're allowed to do cold call as much as you want, which nobody really wants anyway, but that's allowed. What about, maybe it's too picky, but you get in the gray zone of like, as a B2B company, sending out to another B2B company, to, let's say, the marketing director or the buying director, whatever, you're sending an email specifically related to his function to a publicly available email. Now, I have both answers. Yes, you can. Yes, you cannot. Like, what's your first take on this?
So there is a nice little euphemism that many businesses have put on top of sending spam these days is cold outreach. And to me, in my head, and how we look at it as an email platform, cold outreach is spam. You're sending emails to people that didn't request them, regardless of where you got their email address from. If they didn't give it to you and they didn't say, "I want your emails," it's spam. And your emails will often go to the spam folder as a result of that. You know, the one of the first questions I ask if we have a customer that's got a newsletter, like very clearly a legit newsletter that's going out to people that subscribed on their blog, and they're like, "My emails are going to the spam, my newsletter is going to the spam folder," is, "Do you have a sales team?" And you already know exactly where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Do you have a sales team? Oh, yeah. Are they doing cold outreach? Oh, yeah. Okay, what are the email addresses that they're using to do that cold outreach?
Hopefully it's a second domain name.
It's the same domain. You know, and even if it is a second domain, Google's not stupid. Yahoo's not stupid. Hotmail's not stupid. They connect those things together. It's not hard to do. You get enough data and you can connect that stuff together. So, you know, to me, it's not a viable way to build a business. We don't have an outreach sales team here. It doesn't mean we never email anyone that we haven't emailed before, but we're not doing it at any sort of scale. Any sort of, you know, outreach that we do is a one-to-one. It's somebody I was talking with on Twitter, and I'll shoot them an email as a follow-up to something that we were chatting about there. That's a whole different thing than systematized salesperson type outreach where you're sending dozens or hundreds or thousands of emails every day. There was a thread on Twitter this morning that I commented on for somebody that's like, "Oh, I built a 500,000 subscriber email list." Oh. And, you know, here's my secret of how they did it. Oh yeah, by the way, the secret was they scraped email addresses off of LinkedIn and Instagram and other places, and emailed 5 million people with their cold outreach targeted campaign. Yeah, you're a spammer and you built a big list of people that you spammed.
Yeah,
that's totally not a secret. It's totally doable, but your emails will go to the spam folder. They might not now, but they will absolutely go to the spam folder. So while you feel like you're a genius right now, that's going to be short-lived, and you'll very soon come calling and be like, "Hey, what's going on with this? Like, why is that? You know, why are my emails going to the spam folder? I can't imagine why that could have possibly happened." It's like, well, yeah, here's why, and don't do that. That's why.
That is a clear case of spamming, you know, if you 5 million emails being sent and scraped, of course. So like, and you have a very clear position on your interpretation of this castle thing there. But as far as I know, maybe I'm mistaken or not up to date on this, but I don't think there's been a ruling very clear that for those kind of gray zone cases, and the devil's advocate people here are sort of advocating and saying that law was never meant to prevent commerce from happening in the country, of like reaching out to someone that it's their public position and you're reaching out for their job. So like you're targeting, it's like ultra targeted spam, you could say, or unsolicited business proposal to a person that it is their function to sort of discuss purchasing about.
I get dozens of spam emails a day, cold outreach emails a day, where people clearly, you know, have used some sort of tool or otherwise that has looked at my LinkedIn. I can't tell you how many emails I get that are like, "Oh, I went to Penn State too," because that's the college I went to. And it's like, yeah, that's not really relevant to me wanting to look at your solution. Right. And there's only so many recruiters, so many IT outsourcing, so many SaaS products that I need to buy that are relevant to me that I want to get emails in my inbox for. And what do I do for every single one of those? Spam, 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 spam. What do their emails do when they proceed to then follow up with me 4 different times? "Oh, you're a really hard person to reach." Like, Well, yeah, because I marked you as spam and you're going to my spam folder now. So bugger off. I hope the rest of your emails go to the spam folder. Like it's as a business, you, the business owner, think everybody wants your stuff, but you got to wake up no matter how hard and painful it is and how many times somebody needs to smack you across the face. That is not how you grow your business. And it is a short-term growth technique that will have long-term ramifications that are negative and really hard to crawl out of. And you will beg and plead, and you'll think that Google and Yahoo and Hotmail are terrible entities and they're just trying to crush the little guys. And it's like, no, they're not. They're doing what their users are telling them to do. And when you send emails like that, they're going to go to the spam folder. So, for me, it's non-negotiable.
Yeah, it's clear cut. You have a clear ruling. You have a clear ruling on the question. Okay, understood. All right. Not everybody sees it.
And I think that there's multiple angles of it too, because there's a delta between what the law says and what the terms of service of many platforms say. So like AWeber's terms of service and every one of our competitors, whether you're MailChimp or Campaign Monitor or Constant Contact or ActiveCampaign or ConvertKit or any number of dozens of other platforms that are out there, they all have terms of service that are far more restrictive around what you're allowed to send than any law ever is.
Yeah.
And they specifically will say sending unsolicited email is against their terms of service, and you will you will have your account terminated for doing that.
Totally agree.
That includes, regardless of how targeted you think your message is, you will get terminated.
Yes,
do it every day.
I agree. If I was running a platform, I would 100% actually have that stance. 100%.
And then you go to the cat and mouse game of people going, well, how are you going to know? It's like,
all right,
we've been doing this for a really long time, and we definitely have ways, and you will get caught.
For sure. But just the opening rate, the bounce rate, the invalid email, it just shows. It's so easy to spot.
It's really obvious when somebody imports a list that they haven't been mailing before.
Statistically speaking,
and that is
so
not
easy. Permission-based. It's so easy to.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that. No, it's more some other platform that are specialized in cold outreach.
There's many platforms that allow you to send spam.
Yes, exactly.
So it doesn't make it right, and it doesn't make it a good thing for your business in the long term.
Agreed.
So.
Okay, we're very clear on this one. Good, Tom. All right, so we're coming up progressively on the top of the hour. Any last thought you want to share here about either best practice, things to avoid, or anything else about general strategy or something regarding email marketing?
I think it's much like planting a tree. The best time to plant a tree was, last year or yesterday, but the next best time to plant a tree is today. If you're not doing any sort of email marketing, build that audience off of social media. Your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, they could all go away tomorrow. Those audiences are not transferable, and your ability to communicate with your customers is really essential to your business long-term longevity. So make sure you have an avenue for connecting with them that is warm and isn't something where you got to start from scratch. So if you don't have an opt-in form on your website, put one there today. Whether you use AWeber and our free service that you can get started with up to 500 subscribers, do that. There's many other platforms that do similar things out there, but just get started. Don't overanalyze it. Just do something, because it's better than nothing.
And let's piggyback on this then to wrap up. Any additional tips? Okay, you can put a form on your website. That's obvious, but do you go with some kind of lead magnet? Top 7 mistakes to avoid when doing whatever. Click here to put your name and email, or
sure, absolutely.
What else would you do to?
Yeah, your lead magnets for getting people interested. What's your extra little kick that you can do there? If you've been publishing a blog or publishing on social media, oftentimes, go back through what was your most popular blog post, which one got the most comments. That's great evergreen content. Wrap that up into some little summary email and put that on your opt-in form. 14 secrets to something or else, or have a little bit of a teaser there, and that can be the first couple of emails that you send out to people. It's not that you have to create something new. Just go look at the stuff you already have in inventory, whether it's, that blog post or a tweet that was super popular that went viral that people learned from, it clearly had value. You can recycle and reuse that to create value for people that are brand new to your business and didn't see the thing that you published last month or last year or even 10 years ago. There's a lot of great content that's still out there that's still very relevant that people have that they could send out.
Okay. So don't necessarily need a huge case study, white paper, whatever. Write your own book that you're going to get for free, and then you put a ton of effort in it. You can keep it small and just like small giveaway.
It's got to be digestible too. Yeah. It's the quick hits that are often what's the most value that you can drive in a short period of time. I think in business, they just don't overanalyze. Just do something, because even if your offer stinks, you still have an offer out there and it is going to collect some audience from that. You can build from there. So, but just getting started, getting that kind of inertia moving, getting some momentum behind it.
Awesome. Well, Tom, thank you very much for being here today. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Sure. You can come to our website at AWeber.com. I'm on all the social channels. You can shoot me an email at tomk@AWeber.com as well. But come check us out at AWeber and get started free. We have a freemium offering up to 500 subscribers where you get pretty much all the features and can really build from scratch.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.